Shalom, Boker Tov, everyone. Rabbi Eric Solomon in Raleigh, North Carolina. On the first day of school here in Wake County for just about all of our students. Little piece of morning Torah, especially for kids and for parents on this exciting and extraordinarily unique first day of school. I was talking to a few parents recently, and one said to me, I can't believe that my child is going to begin, high school, middle school today by sitting in front of a computer at 7:30 and pressing a button, and now they are a high school student or a middle school student or elementary. And that is the ritual of today, of beginning. And this is not easy. This is hard. It's really hard to imagine when this started in the spring that we'd be in the fall starting school like this. It's difficult. It's isolating. Educationally, although teachers I give enormous credit, it can't compare. This is very difficult for the vast majority of our families, kids, students, etc., parents. So I want to give a little teaching, hopefully a little encouragement, a reminder, maybe even a practice to consider with your kids when you press that button later this morning. In this week's Torah portion called Shoftim, there's much about justice and the justice system. And there's even the famous lines, Tzedek, Tzedek tirdof, justice, justice shall you pursue. But I want to focus on one unique story. Follow me here. In the Torah portion, it says, very detailed explanation, something called Eglah Arufa, this ritual. What happens, God forbid, if someone dies and a dead body is found out in the land, out in the area, in between two towns? And the idea that Torah is kind of laying out is that the person died, no one knows why or how that person died exactly. And the person died equidistant between two places or between the two towns. What do you do in that case? Well, the Torah is concerned about various things. Why did the person die? What are the circumstances? Was it a murder, God forbid? Was it natural causes? This is all kind of in the background. But the ritual that goes on there, because there's a concern that the dead body is in some way going to impurify ritually and to some degree morally, we'll talk in a second, one of those towns, you have to go out, the elders go out, they measure basically where was the body closer to, which town, and whoever it was closer to essentially has to take responsibility for burial and responsibility for that body. But in the course of the ritual, when you take that body and go bury it and take care of it, etc., the Torah says that the elders of the town have to say a specific set of phrases. They do a special ritual, washing their hands over a body of running water. You can Google it up, Deuteronomy 21. It's fascinating. It's a whole set in the Talmud describing, going in detail. But it explains that the elders go over and they wash their hands and say, our hands did not shed this blood. Basically saying, please God, don't hold us responsible. We had nothing to do with this death. We found this. We're taking responsibility. It's close to our town, but we had nothing to do with that. That's the Torah's message. Okay, that's the background. Now, what's interesting, if you get really deep into the Torah, this is a close read. This is what the rabbis do for generations in Jewish rabbinic reads and analysis, hermeneutics they call it. The word, our hands not shed this blood, shed the blood, or spill the blood. In the Hebrew, it should say shafchu, which means my hands, plural, shafchu, did not spill, or lo shafchu. But in the Torah itself, it says shafcha. Shafcha means my hand, my hands did not spill, singular. So it's plural hands, singular spill or shed. Okay. Typically, this is seen as scribal error. Academics just tell you it was just some kind of mistake. It was passed on. Okay. But, of course, that's not good enough for our rabbis, our teachers. They say, what does it mean? Plural hands did not spill with one singular. It doesn't match. Aha. One of the commentaries comes back and says, well, what this is trying to show is the dynamic of the fact that, well, it's true. Maybe we did not spill the blood with one of our hands, but on some level, the blood was spilled by one of our hands, not by both, by one of our hands. Why one? Not on purpose per se. Not that we went out, God forbid, and murdered someone in this town, God forbid. No. But by the fact that there was a person near us who died, on some level, our hands did not do everything we possibly could to stop a murder from happening on our watch. So it's an ambivalence. It's saying our hands, well, maybe one hand didn't do it actively, but perhaps we did not create a society through our hands enough where death and murder and someone dying and no one noticing could happen on our watch. What's it mean? Essentially, some are guilty, all are responsible. The famous words of Abraham Joshua Heschel, Martin Luther King, right? That in a society where death happens and nobody knows about it, yeah, we didn't do it per se, but we're responsible for it, and maybe in some subtle, systemic ways, we did do it or allow it to happen, the rabbis say. So don't be so quick to clean yourself of that responsibility. If something terrible is happening in your society or near you or around you, even if you didn't actively do it, one of your hands may have played a part in it. Okay, what about you bring that first day of school? This first day of school, for many in my community where I hear in North Raleigh, which is predominantly a kind of middle class or upper middle class community, I mean, it's difficult, very difficult. But the vast majority have internet access, have strong teachers who've been working all summer and longer how to do educationally wise things and how to make this work. And, even have computers that are able to do this. But not all in my congregation. I am blessed and I'm grateful that we have a diverse congregation. And we have those in our congregation, a significant sector, who struggle for various reasons, financially, economically, and even more in this pandemic. Some of them have been exacerbated by the pandemic. And the past few months, I've had the privilege of engaging and working with these families. And I remember one family in particular, I'll never forget, who said to me, Rabbi, I work hard to earn what I can do financially. We have an internet hookup that has pretty good speed, and we have one good computer. But I have 2 children. How am I going to do virtual school if I don't have 2 good computers? So, of course, the blessing of having what's called a discretionary fund, or this is a fund that for good deeds that congregants donate to, I was able to help this family with that. And I don't do that to say I have the privilege of being the agent, the shaliach for that, but that's really the congregation's mitzvah. This is what it means to be part of a holy community. And we've done that with a number of families, also seniors in our community, to also get them the newer types of computer that works better, or help with the internet access in their house to make sure they can engage in the congregation and other parts of life. So why do I bring this? Because the fact that in our society, there are those for which virtual school is a pain, or it's a loss, it is. But it's not a denial of education. And then there are people in our community for which this virtual school is a struggle to even get to. Now, thank God, our public school, for example, is giving out computers to hopefully all that can get them, achieve them. But this idea that the virtual school is a privilege. And to what responsibility do we have? Our blood did not, we did not shed this blood. No, we didn't, no one denied. But in society, what's our responsibility to ensure that everyone has the ability for the basic educational moment? All right, so bring it back now to first day of school. When you sit down right now with your kids this morning to press that button to start school for the first day, it's probably going to be just a regular moment. Annoying moment, maybe sighs. Who knows? There are some positives. You can go to school in your pajamas, I guess. But it could just be a moment of deep, for most, sadness and disappointment. Maybe it's a moment to turn to your kids and just say, look, we're really blessed. We can do this. There are so many that may not be able to start today easily, or starting today without the full computer virtual way. Let's thank God that we have the moment to do this ability, and also recognize what could we do in this school year to make sure that others can have that type of basic hookup connection. Because even though we didn't personally cause it, like no one's denying computers, on some level our society is not totally right when there are kids that don't have that ability to access in general, but especially right now. And maybe even say a blessing called Shechianu. Bless you, Adonai, our God, sovereign universe, who sustained us, given us life, and brought us to this moment. Shechianu. Say, thank God we're here. It's a tough moment. It's not easy. But we're also blessed. And what can we do with that blessing to help others? And remind ourselves that while we didn't shed or stop, what can we do more in this year to come to make our world more equal, more just, in the spirit of Shuftim? Hatzlacha today. Good luck with your limudim, with your studies, and with everyone's studies. And may we help create a world where we are not worried about shafchu shafcha, that everyone feels that they can learn and grow and make our society and country flourish as much as possible. Boker Tov. Shalom. Peaceful day.